Mario & Luigi Brothership will be the glorious return of the Mario & Luigi series to the Nintendo Switch. This will be the newest Mario & Luigi game since 2019 and the newest Mario & Luigi game to have an original story since 2016. So I thought it would be nice to look back on Mario & Luigi Paper Jam and see if it holds up well today, since I kinda see this game as being the start of the downfall of this series. In this video, I will be talking about the gameplay and the story found within Paper Jam, and I will also be giving my personal opinion on the game and how I see it as the downfall of the Mario & Luigi series. But before we begin, I would like to mention that only 0.8 people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. So I would kindly ask you to please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so you will never miss when I upload a new video. I would gladly appreciate it, and it kinda also says that you like my content and you would like to see videos more like this. Anyways, enjoy the video. Definitely one of the high points within this game is the gameplay, since it's the same style that we already know since Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, with Mario being controlled by the A button and Luigi being controlled by the B button. What's also the same from the last 4 games is that with these 2 buttons, the bros can use all kinds of techniques and mechanics in the overworld to make traveling a lot easier, like being able to go small, to fit into places that you normally wouldn't fit in, or dig underground. But this time it's different because you'll get a third bro to go along on this journey, being Paper Mario, who is controlled with the Y button. And Paper Mario gives this game a little more flair, because Paper Mario can fit into narrow spaces that the bros normally wouldn't be able to fit in, and when he uses his paperness, it causes all kinds of shenanigans to ensue. My favorite part about this series is the fast-paced battle system, because the battle system isn't anything like Paper Mario, because in Paper Mario you get time to think about your actions and what you are going to do. But in Mario & Luigi it is much more fast-paced, with the game always trying to keep you on your toes. And this game is no exception. Now, most people were wondering of how Paper Mario was going to play in this game, since the battle system in his games are, like I mentioned, slow-paced. But Paper Mario kind of controls just like Mario & Luigi, but a little bit different. Unlike Mario & Luigi, who just jump to dodge, Paper Mario can float for a limited time in order to dodge longer attacks, and can also copy himself to be able to deal more damage during attacks and counterattacks. Like the bros, Paper Mario has his own set of special moves, being the trio attacks, in which all 3 of the bros come together to deal massive damage to the enemy. Like I mentioned, these bros attacks are also there for Mario & Luigi, but only Mario & Luigi are the ones doing the actions within these attacks, and Paper Mario just kind of becomes a cheerleader for a little bit. What is also here, which is taken over from the last 2 games, is the giant battles. Now, in Bowser's Inside Story and Dream Team, the giant battles were there to be sort of like a break from regular battles, with them being like a new gimmick found within these games. But the problem with these battles is that they're rinse and repeat, that once you know all the techniques, you pretty much know how to deal with the rest of giant battles for the rest of those games. But in this game, there are papercraft battles, which are created from the many paper toads you save and Toadette. These are giant like paper mache type robots thingies that you use to fight bigger enemies. And the enemies also have their own papercraft statue. Now the thing with these are that they are different with every coming papercraft battle. For one battle, you could have Mario versus a giant Goomba, and for another, you could have a giant papercraft Peach fighting against a papercraft Bowser Jr. All of these papercraft statues have their own gimmicks, their own special abilities, which make them stand out from the rest of the battles within the game. Like I mentioned before, Paper Mario can use his paperness to help make traveling a lot easier in the overworld. Like he can fly, for instance, or help the bros in their hammer abilities in the overworld in order to create a huge blast, which always helps. What is also very different is the ability to dash within this game. Usually the Mario and Luigi games don't have a dash button, and you kind of move around in this huge world in a rather slow pace. But dashing makes it a lot faster to get from location to location, which is always fun. If you have made it this far into the video, I would like to say thank you for watching this far. And I would also like to note that I've been on kind of a hiatus of making long form content ever since last year, since I haven't been that inspired into making long videos. But now I'm inspired again, so I will at least be making one long video every month, and I will at least be making 1 to 2 edits every week. So if you don't want to miss out on that, I would recommend that you subscribe and hit the bell so you'll get a notification when I upload a new video. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the video. Now that I've talked about all the pros within the gameplay, I will talk about some of the cons. Now, with all these abilities, you're going to have to use them to go back and forth between locations and have to do fetch quests with them. The fetch quest found within this game is that you have to save paper toads. Just like Pilos and the little cat thingies from Bowser's Inside Story, you'll have to go back and forth between the world to find these paper toads, and the only way you could save them is if you go into a Lakitu house and talk to Lakitu. Now, I for one am not a fan of these toad rescue missions because they're incredibly tedious and slow down your gameplay. I want to get back to the story as quick as possible, but this sort of feels like a side quest that you have to do in order to feel like you've completed the game. But once you've rescued all the paper toads, you get a special bros attack at the end, which is always a nice reward for having to do all this backtracking. Other than that, the gameplay is very solid since again it's the same style we've had for this entire sub-series of Mario games. So I would say that the gameplay is especially solid in this game. Although there is no counter gameplay or other side story you have to worry about which changes the controls, like you had with Bowser and Bowser's Inside Story or with Dreamy Luigi in Mario and Luigi Dream Team. The controls stay the same throughout the entire game, and there is no alternative story since you only focus on this pair of brothers. My biggest issue with this game lies within the story found within, because first, the story starts with Luigi opening a book where all the paper characters are in, which causes this entire crossover to happen, which is fine, I guess. So our first objective within the story is to save all the paper toads in those fetch quests like I mentioned. But then when Bowser discovers his paper self, the two decide to team up and kidnap Peach for the 4,000th time. Now, this is my biggest problem with this game, in that the story is not original at all. It is the same Mario story that we already know, only with an RPG twist sprinkled within. All the characters are from the mainline series, and there are no original characters introduced, unless you count Starlo, but she's been around since Bowser's Inside Story, so she basically doesn't count. Anyways, nothing is new within this game, from the story to the characters to even the locations. It is the same Mushroom Kingdom we know from the new Super Mario Bros. Series, with you having to go through grass, ice, desert, forest, snow. it is so bland and unoriginal, which is why I can summarize this whole game as missed potential, because there's so much they could have done with this plot. Like, for instance, they have all the paper characters in this universe, so why not have Paper Luigi join the quest with the Mario Bros and Paper Mario? It would have been amazing gameplay with you having to control all 4 buttons like you used to do in Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. Unlike the last 4 games also, the humor doesn't quite hit the same. Like, there are comedic moments within this, but they are very hit or miss for me, and most of the jokes within this game are just like bashes at Luigi, with Luigi once again becoming like the butt of everyone's jokes, which is something I do not find funny. Also, the Koopalings make a return in this game, which is okay, I guess. It adds more bosses to the roster, but again, I find this lazy because it's just adding more boss characters for the sake of having more boss battles, which is pretty boring that they couldn't come up with at least one original character. Because of how bland and missed potential this game was, I feel like the creators were unoriginal with it, and this transitioned over to the remasters of Superstar Saga and Bowser's Inside Story, because they're just the same games with the same story but are in crisp 3D with new visuals. Other than that, they have nothing more to add. If you want to talk about the Minion side story or the Bowser Jr. side stories within the remasters, the story in those are okay, but the gameplay is incredibly repetitive and also very boring. There's an auto button on those game modes for a reason, because the creators knew how boring it was. Because of this, I feel like all the flair and originality the series once had is gone, going down the same spiral as Paper Mario. Since Sticker Star, the Paper Mario series hasn't been looking so hot, which kinda split the fandom into which gameplay style they prefer the most. Do they prefer the original style from Thousand Year Door and the original, or the platformer style from Super, or the newer style found within the modern Paper Mario games? These games also split the Mario and Luigi fandom, because there are the people who like the remakes, and it's okay to like them. There are still solid games because the originals were still good. But there are also people who like the originals because the originals had so much more going for them and felt like the creators were actually trying to make a good game. Another problem that I also have with this game is that this game, compared to all the games in this series, it plays it relatively safe. Let's look at the other games, for example. Superstar Saga shows you that it is experimenting with new ideas that we haven't seen before in a Mario game, with the new mechanics and the fact that Luigi is there. Partners in Time tries to set a darker narrative by having a darker story and an overall dark tone setting with time travel and the Shroobs. Bowser's Inside Story tries to be special in the fact of having introduced the giant battles and the fact that you get to play as Bowser and get to use all of Bowser's abilities, minions, attacks, etc. Dream Team tries to put more focus on Luigi into having him be the main character, and you going from the real world to the dream world and jumping back and forth. So Paper Jam just kinda sits there like it's just a regular Mario game but with RPG elements thrown within. Also, another con I have with this game is that you can't customly choose which ability you want to give extra points to. When you level up, you just level up and that's it. It's a weird choice to remove this because it also kind of gives a sense of freedom to the player. The player gets to decide what he wants to be stronger with, but it's a weird choice in my opinion. Overall, it is still a solid game, but if you want to summarize it with 2 words, it's gonna be missed potential and bland, since it's the same Mario story we've seen like since 1987, and it's just very bland and takes all the flair away that these games once had. But it's still a solid game. But seeing as it holds up today, it's kinda impossible to like enjoy this game without comparing the pros to the cons. But still, it is a very good game. Well, not very good, but it is a solid game. If you want to have a good time with a Mario RPG, this is definitely a way to go, but like there are other games you can play besides this. Like if you have a friend that is recently getting into Mario RPGs, you can like offer this as a starter, but you can also offer them games like Thousand Year Door or Inside Story, because those are way more enjoyable and actually try telling a story and implement new gameplay styles that we haven't seen before in a Mario game. But some good points I also want to mention is that this game has packed full of references to the Paper Mario series and Mario and Luigi series, and that the bosses are pretty enjoyable as you get to fight like Mario enemies and get to use these new bros attacks. But the final boss is just Bowser, or like a different variation of Bowser again, which we've seen like 4 times in this series. But this Bowser fight is definitely one of the best we've seen in the series so far. So, like I said, it's a good game, but it just lacks originality and an overall story. But still, a pretty good game to pass the time. Anyways, thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see more content like this, or like anime edits and anime reviews, please check out other content on my channel. Anyways, I hope you have a good day. See ya.